Hello, in this video you will learn how to use your on-premise monitoring solution, pick up log files with Azure Automation Watcher tasks, and integrate them into ITSM and create an event based on those log files. This video will show you 4 steps to make this work in your environment. The first thing is you need to understand the scenario, then the prerequisites you need, then some details on installation and setup, and then details on implementation. The files will be stored in the blog post containing this video. So the scenario is pretty simple. You have a third-party monitoring environment running in your on-premise data center, and we assume there is a central log server with a directory called clogs, and it stores log files of this monitoring solution of any kind. We're picking up those log files, and whenever a log file gets updated, we create an event in Provence ITSM. So when you want to create that, you need to have an hybrid worker running. Therefore, you need an automation account. You need a log analytics workspace. You need this Azure automation solution enabled inside the log analytics workspace. You need Azure Automation account linked to the workspace. You need Log Analytics agent installed on the on-premise machine. And you need to have this script executed on-prem hybrid worker PS1 from the PowerShell gallery. And the link for the script is here. So let's look how this shows up in the Azure portal. So here we have a automation account. This one is called P42WSA1AA. And this automation account has a couple of runbooks. And to see if it's linked to a workspace, you see that workspace information here has color. If this is grayed out, you don't have a workspace link set up. You can also unlink it, but we're not going to do that for now. On the other hand, we have a Log Analytics workspace configured here. And inside this Log Analytics workspace, you see the workspace summary with all the solutions. And there must be Azure Automation solution enabled and configured. With that, you need also to have one machine configured on your local on-prem environment as a Log Analytics agent. And this then will have this script run. In our case, this is this machine here. So that machine, Ogler Room, has Log Analytics agent installed, and I have executed that one script. Okay, prerequisites number 2, you need to have an Azure Automation account, and you need to have installed 2 modules, Provence.Azure and Provence.Dyn365. That is pretty simple. So all you need to do is in your Azure Automation account, go to modules. In my case, they are already installed. If they are not installed, you click on Browse Gallery, search for Provence.star, and then simply select them. If you have an older version installed, it will automatically be updated. If you have nothing installed, just select it and it will automatically be imported in your Azure Automation account. And you need 2 runbooks. So a hybrid watcher is an agent running on a local machine, and it's waiting for something to do. And we have 2 runbooks here which are actually executing the steps. So before I explain you the runbooks, we will simply simulate an action. So in our case, we have a log file here called clog webcast.log, and it has 1 entry. And I will add an additional entry which is information added, maybe with lowercase letters. Let's say blog post recorded today. And just that you are aware, there is a Dynamics instance, and when we go to events, there is the latest event is from February, so there is no event created yet. And what we now simply do is we update that log file. So, and now the hybrid watcher will pick that up. How the whole thing works is explained in the hybrid watcher runbooks. So there are two runbooks, and I will show you both. So first of all, if you set up a hybrid watcher, it is defined here in so-called watcher tasks, and you can define the watcher task itself. And the settings are pretty simple. There is a watcher runbook and an action runbook. And the watcher runbook says what to actually look for. So in our case, we're looking for the changes of files. And the action runbook tells the hybrid watcher if something changes, so if the event happens, whatever the watcher runbook does, what shall I do now? So the two runbooks which are used for that are watch monitoring logs. And you will find them in the blog then, but some details on what they're actually doing. So there is some description. We have a parameter, so we're looking for a folder path. That is, the extension is by default anything, but we limit it to start.log. And we don't recurse through the directories. So if there are subdirectories, we only look for the root. Then we are creating a watcher watermark time. So whenever a file is updated, we define this is the new time where to look from, so that we only get new information. We're looking for the files in the folder path and see if the last write time is after the watermark. And then we're collecting data. So we create this properties variable where we write in things like the file name, length, content, last write time. Store this in the data variable. And here comes the magic from the hybrid watcher. Sorry, here, invoke automatic watcher action. And we store that data from the data variable in that automation watcher action. So that's the first thing. Here we're collecting the files from the log file and storing data which we want to pass over to the other runbook. And this is the runbook which gets triggered when a new or updated file is shown, and you see it's running already. But first, let's look at the source code. So the important thing is that whenever a hybrid watcher runs, it picks up the event data parameter, which is also the event data variable, and that contains all the data which we pass over from the collection. And I did some verbose messaging here so that you know there is an event data dot event properties, event data dot data, so I know what's available. Then I'm preparing some stuff, so details and watcher name, and then I prepare the file line. So with this command, I'm picking every line of the file I'm collecting and to prepare this as a description in the event. And then I get the race time so that I know when that happened. And in this line here, I'm creating the data to generate an event in ITSM. So it's an event body, it has a name, a race down date, description, event ID, and so on. Some of those are option sets, so you need to know the value of the dynamics option set. Some of them are simply string lines. And here I'm passing over the data from the event data variable. Then I'm finally picking up a credential, which I saved before in Azure Automation, which is called admin at ITSM 9000. I'm authenticating with our authentication commandlet, which you find in the Provence.azure module. And with that token, I'm creating a new entity called UpITL event and passing over the data which I have prepared here in the event body. And when we look at and refresh that, it's completed now. And when we go to the events and update this, I get a new event telling me it happened on July 2nd, hybrid watcher event on-prem logs. And I will get some details here. It tells me it happens on Oglaroon, and it tells me that this file was passed and that these two lines are the content of these files, and you see that's the one I created. Yeah, and that's it basically. What you can do now is you can run a workflow on this. So whenever that event is created, you may trigger up a workflow which creates an incident or whatever you want to do. So what happened? A log file on the local machine is updated or is created. Runbook 1 triggers the bridges between this event data variable. Runbook 2 picks up this event data and performs an action, and in our case, it creates an event entity in ITSM. I hope that was sufficient and you can reproduce that. You find details and the files in the content of this blog as attachments. Thank you and goodbye.